those top players like Messi, Suarez, you talk about, Eden Hazard springs to mind. A few of the guys like Aguero at Manchester City. Do they talk much when they're out there? Have they got an air of superiority about them in the tunnel before the game, their mannerisms in a game, or they're just normal players who just happen to be exceptional at football? Normal people who happen to be exceptional at football.
I can see why, people get that opinion of them. I think the media, obviously, they build them up to be, superheroes. Rightly so, they've got all the talent in the world. But I guess through my own experiences now, I'm realising that they're just human. Also, out on the pitch, an opposition player that I'm coming up against that obviously, I want to beat. And I think that's what experience teaches you at the end of the day. I had a little bit that similar approach when I, played in my first World Cup, and the beginning when I started in Spain and in the Premier League, coming up against these figures in the game that obviously build up to be, what they are, and absolute, legends and quality players of this format of the game, and it can be a little bit distracting, when coming on goal, you're thinking, it's him coming on goal and this and that, I want to try hard to stop it, as opposed to sort of later on when you're a bit more experienced saying, all right, the player's coming down on goal, he's got the ball, nice, calm, relaxed approach, and what I need to do to stop this ball from coming in, he's not going to beat me, don't even know who it is, whatever, and going to go make the save. And I think, you probably learn that through the experience of playing against them. And it's a funny thing, everyone, nowadays, especially, I guess, the most recent case was the last game against Manchester City, and all Liverpool fans coming up and, trying to wish me luck before the game, and then obviously seeing them after the game now saying, I was like, I would have loved to have obviously affected the history, and they're like, but it's Man City, they got these players, got those players and all that, but, to me, I see them as people at the end of the day, and, they obviously triumphed on that day, but it was an opportunity for us to have done something special. And, I'd take no respite in the fact that, it's these quality players, they're that good and, they're that great. But at the end of the day, we weren't good enough, and the responsibility falls on us. And I'm just itching to have another opportunity against them again to, triumph over them again. So,
with Brighton, and we'll get to Brighton now, but I want to jump forward to ask you a few more questions about the club you're at the moment. But firstly, that week in the lead up, here it was like every single Liverpool fan one probably jumped out of there, and one jumped out of the vent in the roof there, and they were coming from everywhere about the possibility of doing what they wanted to do. Was it the same for you as well, even though you cocooned from it a bit as a Premier League player? You had mates from here in Australia going.
Yeah, definitely. There's no hiding from it, to be honest. Just obviously the inundation of messages through social media and all that. And probably the funniest thing was that, friends of my friends or my family, were telling them to tell me, make sure he has a good game and all this. And, I have a joke with them, where have they been to support me the rest of the year, just this one game. But that's part of playing in the Premier League, and the global following that it has. And that's the environment I love being in. Ever since I got my first taste at that first World Cup in Brazil, I just had that goal of wanting to get to the highest level, the pinnacle of the game in a club-type situation. And I thought that was, Valencia, and, I had great experiences there as well, lots of things to learn on, but I'm much more at ease now, having gone to Brighton and getting that more on a regular basis, week in, week out, and playing, and I'm just, I love being a part of, being, this beautiful game and playing at that level, and I'm living my dream, basically.
What's the most out there kind of message you've received about a game or an upcoming opponent or whatever to do with football?
Probably the one that first comes to mind is probably people messaging you when their multi has lost or something, and they're standing there, there's been something messaging me. Not so much cop it. They've been quite good about it, but it's amazing. I guess you have that effect, on something so big. Like I think some people have messaged me when there's been, after the bet's already gone, of course, not beforehand, but after the bet's already gone, saying, if you didn't save that goal, I would have won 100,000 euros and this and that. And they sent that message. I was like, phew.
Stiff shit, don't bet.
Yeah, exactly.
Your problem, not mine.
It's just like, I take it's a bit of a, sense of achievement as well that you stop them from doing that. But I don't know. It's just playing at that level, I guess, where you have the opportunity to affect stuff like that because there's such a global following, and obviously betting agencies and all that, and
playing with people's emotions as well.
yeah, all that type of thing. Obviously, you don't commend gambling. To
I'm just talking as a fan. Like I
But,
watched you guys play Newcastle, and I've sworn at you many times.
Yeah, well,
For some reason, Newcastle can't quite
touch
get
wood. Yeah,
past you lot.
we've had a good run against them since I've joined, so I'm quite enjoying playing them at the minute. So hopefully that run can continue, Adam.
You prick. Stop it, would you? So Brighton, the environment, when I do remember when you went there, it was a case, a bit like everywhere you've gone, you're hoping that you're going to be number one, but that adjustments. And then Chris Hughton, who was your manager at the time, signed Tim Krul. He's used to having top spot, being the top dog, as you put it. How did that manifest itself with you? How did you deal with that? Because obviously Chris Hughton had a relationship prior at Newcastle with Tim Krul being his keeper there. How did you put that aside and just focus on what you needed to do? Because you did it successfully.
Yeah, well, I mean, internally, in between me and the club, I mean, like without aside of the fact that obviously on a week-to-week basis positions are up for grabs. I mean, there was never any suggestion, or the goalkeeper coach Ben Roberts, he was reassuring me. He's got full faith in you. You're playing, and nothing ever changed in that aspect. The fact that perhaps if I'd maybe performed, I guess, to the level I would have wanted to straight off the bat from the beginning. Maybe they wouldn't have signed a goalkeeper of his stature. I'm not too sure. But, I mean, the signing of him, in my own opinion, didn't affect anything. I was just obviously trying to go out there and do the best. I was confident in my ability and that I could play to a level that was going to, warrant me as the starting goalkeeper within that side. And, yeah, like I said, there was a little bit of an adjustment period there in the beginning. And at the same time, I didn't feel like I was getting, a lot of luck in my performances and whatnot. But, it's just funny when you seem to get the balance right. Perhaps, I think I was perhaps overthinking things in the beginning as well. Just was trying so hard to do well. I was probably, trying too hard in the end and wasn't letting things, naturally flow. And in my experience in football until now, I think you're at your best when you're just allowing your instincts to take over. Things are just coming naturally, as opposed to overthinking and, wanting things to happen too much for you. And, thankfully I felt in that season after probably those first initial 3-4 games, I think 2 to 3 games, that sort of, I guess, started to pan out that way where I was feeling more relaxed out there. And, the performances I think followed and, created a lot of nice memories that year.
In the Premier League, given how fast it is, it's just relentlessly fast. And you play a lot of games, especially when the rest of the continent is chilling out a bit. You watch Spanish games and, technically quick and, it's still quick. But that it's just up a little notch, it seems, through the television. The Premier League, can shoot me down if I'm wrong. So in having to be totally professional, I would presume is pretty advantageous. Now you are. Is everyone around you, I don't want you to go into names, obviously, but is it an environment where everyone is just automatically unbelievably professional, or are there people like any league or any part of sport or anywhere in life that they're just getting through on natural ability and they can just coast through that way?
Yeah, I mean, less so. Obviously, to have gotten to that level, they obviously have to have some form of professionalism and dedication and skill and talent and all that's required to obviously be a good player. But yeah, much like, probably the common dressing room, there's, we're all people at the end of the day. And, with people you get, different types of, personalities, different types of characters, different types of body shapes and all these types of things, different ways of individuals thinking. And, some are, viewed as being more professional by being in the gym more often than others that, I guess, relax a little bit more and don't feel as if they need it. I'm not saying one's right or, right or wrong. There's many ways to living life, just as much as there's many ways to, I guess, being a footballer. And at the end of the day, you need to find what works for you as an individual to play at your, at your peak, in order to, I guess have the best career you can have individually and contribute to obviously the club having the best season and best games that they can have. And yeah, it's just a fine balance at the end of the day of what the individual feels that they need and they're comfortable with doing. We're all punctual, turning up to training on time and doing what's obviously required in order to allow us to be successful.
Biggest character that you played with or against? The story about them that kind of jumps out, because English football is full of characters.
Yeah, I'd probably have to say the one that probably sticks out the most would probably be Shane Duffy, the central defender for Brighton at the minute. It just, being typical Irish man, just always, loud, being heard. Like so many big guys, is just a big softy. Like, boys always jumping out from behind corners, scaring him, like around the training ground and all that. And he's jumping around and all that. And when obviously time permits and we can go out and have a drink, he's a typical Irish man. He has no limits and
he's at the front.
Keeps going.
He's leading.
He's quite a present figure on a night out.
Can you unwind much playing Premier League football?
Yeah,
Is it easy to do?
Yeah, in the environment where we are down in Brighton, it's quite a touristic town. So I think you get obviously a number of tourists coming down and visiting, and even that aside, when we're out during the day or overnight time, the fans or the people that perhaps maybe recognise us, they just sort of let us do our own thing. They've always been very loyal towards us, always continuing to support us no matter what the situation. I mean, there's been a couple of hairy moments in both seasons where things are getting a bit tight and the sort of pressure valve is almost sort of bursting with the tension and all that around the ground. But they've always managed to stick by us, and they're the cornerstone of the club.
You feel that late in the season, especially this season when it got particularly dicey at certain stages towards the end there when you went on that winless streak. Is there an air of yuck around the place, even at the training ground? It's like, well, this is pretty full on stuff.
Yeah, there definitely is. Obviously, lifelines are on the line, and it obviously means so much to everyone. No one ever wants to experience a relegation, and we're obviously doing everything in our power to avoid that. But sometimes momentum in sport, it's inexplainable sometimes, and things just occur for whatever reason, and it's all about obviously in those moments just working hard until you shift that momentum. There's no other solution or alternative at the end of the day. In those bad periods, you just got to keep your head down, keep working hard until it turns. And thankfully, in the 2 seasons I've been there, we've managed to do that.
Like, you don't go off on an army camp just to mix things up or anything like that, or going away?
Well, we did take a trip this year. We went down to Marbella, just to sort of try shift the dynamic.
You could have been interpreter for everyone.
There's a couple of other guys that are probably a little bit better than me, but it was another opportunity for me to practice and spit out a few words. And
so warm weather training in an international break or a cup week.
I think it might have been a cup week, and maybe we had been knocked out, and it's an opportunity for the club, just to change the dynamic, a bit of a refreshing trip, get away. Get everyone's, mind off things, and try to change the dynamic in that way. Managers, in my experience until now, have tried anything in order to try shift momentum or create a winning environment. So,
have you got a good story about someone, like even back here, it's someone who's just done something way out there? You've gone, what on earth? Where did this come from? Just to try and twist the, take the pins out of the voodoo doll.
Probably the biggest thing that stands out was probably when I was in Belgium. They had this idea that we always used to go and walk, into the forest and go walking through all the trails and all that through there to sort of rid ourselves of the negative energy and the negative luck that we have, and I don't know, some voodoo spiritual stuff like that.
In bare feet?
Yeah, we had the shoes on, thankfully, but wouldn't like walking around there in the middle of winter with
So,
no shoes on.
So Brad Fittler, New South Wales Origin coach, he has this spirit animal in Belgium that looks after a team over there as well, does he?
Yeah,
He gets similar ideas.
Maybe that's his secret. Have to try to get that out of him. But
Did it work?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, we didn't win a title, so
Okay, didn't quite work.
yeah, maybe after I left, or maybe it was me that was the bad omen or the demon or something that was holding the team back. But because they won after I left, but yeah, I don't know, something about the Woods. I don't know, cleansed the spirit within the team or something along those lines. I mean, those words weren't spoken, but yeah, there was obviously an idea behind it, and yeah, each to their own, I guess.
Well, thankfully, he didn't go in there and shoot you all to come up with a new team with transfer dealings.